Right, tensions are rising between the Conservative Party in Britain and the Communist Party in China, with everything that's been happening over the past few months, with China's involvement with the national cybersecurity issues, the technology sector in general, and now the global health crisis. Things aren't looking too good. We've got the Western world standing up finally to China. The Conservative MPs in the UK Parliament are now calling to boycott China and boycott the products that come from China and essentially end the current relationship as it is with the Chinese state. So this is developing. So in this video, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's happening in Hong Kong and also an update on Huawei and 5G. So let's start with Hong Kong because Boris has now announced. The same Boris Johnson and Brexiteers who were told that they are Little England isolationists who want to close Britain to the world. They are now opening the door to up to 3 million, possibly 3 million Hong Kong migrants. Now, it doesn't actually mean all 3 million are going to come here, because a lot of them have said that we don't actually want to, thank you, but we want to stay here and fight for our land and freedom. And the majority of them are obviously very talented and educated, and there are wealth creators. So actually, if they come here, for those who think that they're going to come here and be on benefits or be a burden on public services, that's not going to happen, because these people will actually massively help with the economy, and also culturally they're a lot closer to the British culture compared to many others in the world. So I'm not too upset about this news. This is great gesture from the government side, but let's listen to Ian Duncan-Smith, the Conservative MP in Parliament, who talked about how we need to change the relationship with China and essentially boycott the products that we have from China.
For China, they think that Hong Kong is collateral damage that they can happily sweep to one side. The truth is, they see themselves in an ideological battle about how government should be formed, and they dismiss the rules-based order of the West. They've made that very clear, and they have a strategic view on this. So, does he not agree with me? It's time, therefore, for us to bring the free world together, to say to them not just to complain, not just to get rapporteurs, but also to say it's time to hit them in the one place that China worries about, which is its economy. We have run to China to buy goods and to invest. It's time for us now to review every single program here in the UK and around the free world. We learnt a lesson 80 years ago about appeasement of dictators. Maybe that should be applied today.
Can I thank my right honourable friend and grateful for his generous remarks. He's absolutely right to point to the importance of shoring up the values that we hold dear, the values reflected in the United Nations in the multilateral system. And I think it is right to say that what is at threat here is not just individual obligations in relation to the people of Hong Kong, but a wider question of China trying to recraft the rules of the international system. And it will only take concerted effort with our international allies, Europe, North America, but actually much more broadly than that, which is why the G7 statement in support on Hong Kong was so important, to make sure that we can shore up the multilateral system and the international rule of law.
I mean, first things first, because when the question was asked by IDS, I didn't know what the response was going to be from the government side. And when Dominic Raab stood up to respond, I was very pleased, because I was expecting the government to be very cautious and say, thank you for the question, but please sit down. We rely on China. If this were the Theresa May's government or David Cameron's government with George Osborne, who essentially went to China and begged to be best friends, that would have been different. But this government seemed to be very different in terms of the approach they have when it comes to the Chinese Communist Party. But China are kicking off because of the gesture that Boris Johnson came up with. They're now warning the UK for offering people from Hong Kong this benefit of coming to the UK. I don't know what they're planning to do with this. Are they going to build a wall around Hong Kong and not allow anybody to leave, like East Germany or North Korea? Because this is going to be a bad move from China. This will definitely escalate things with the United Nations. Yeah, the same United Nations that is absolutely useless and pointless, and it shouldn't even exist at this point, because they don't do anything to actually keep the peace around the world. But when it comes to the Tories in government and in Parliament, they've now pressured Boris Johnson, because Boris started to reconsider Huawei's role. It's actually getting closer and closer, because they're now getting ready to make a U-turn and officially cancel Huawei and 5G for Huawei's 5G in this country. Guido has been unable to find a single Tory MP who now expects the decision to involve Huawei in construction of the UK's 5G network to press ahead as originally planned. There were 38 rebels on the last vote over Huawei's involvement at the start of March, and obviously now Newsnight has now said that there are senior Tory MPs who have expectations that there might be actually at least 68 new rebels, overall, against it. Now Guido again is talking about how a change in tact is unlikely to need to come to a formal parliamentary rebellion, because voices in government, not just the Tory backbenchers, are increasingly pushing for a tougher line against China. And essentially with the way things are going, just stay alert, because I don't think Huawei is going to survive in this country. It's going to happen. And even the Labour Party, the shadow Foreign Secretary, Lisa Nandy, was on the New Times Radio. She did an interview, and so John Pena actually tweeted saying that Lisa Nandy on Times Radio just told me that China should be excluded entirely from their role when it comes to UK's 5G network. Lisa Nandy replied, "I didn't say this, John Pena. I said that the UK needed to develop homegrown alternatives, a proper assessment of the national security implications." This is so this is what she's saying, right? We have the actual audio. So John Pena is telling the truth. Lisa Nandy is lying, because let's listen to the actual clip of Lisa confirming that, yes, China should not be involved.
So no to Chinese involvement in 5G, no to Chinese involvement in our nuclear energy infrastructure. And if that means a row with Beijing, well, then so be it.
Well, yes, but more than that, that we need to have a constructive dialogue with China, and that means we need to be working with other countries.
Yeah. But they're gonna hate what you're saying.
Well, the UK has to stand up for not just our own interests, but we've also got to stand up for democracy, the rule of law, and human rights across the world, because these are the basis of our international alliances. The British companies that do business in Hong Kong are able to do business because of those values. So we have to stand up for those things. And this is one moment where, the interests of the Chinese government are directly pitted against the interests not only of the people of Hong Kong, but of Britain as well. And we have to be absolutely clear that we're going to stand firm in relation to that.
I mean, you heard it yourself. This is embarrassing on so many different levels, because firstly, Lisa Nandy is the shadow foreign secretary of the Labour Party. Secondly, she was standing to become leader. She could have been the current leader of the Labour Party. And the whole shadow cabinet, all these people, are just making U-turns after U-turns. You had Keir Starmer taking a knee, now coming out and actually criticising the cultural Marxists. Now we got Lisa Nandy one morning being against China, the next day saying, well, China are fine, we could do alternative planning in our own country. Just, grow. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice today. But yeah, these people are I'm so glad they're not in government. And actually, this is the problem we have with the so-called centrists in a party like the Labour Party. It's the same with the Tory party. At least with the crazy lefties, like people like John McDonnell and others, you know where you stand. Whereas people like Keir Starmer, Lisa Nandy, this wishy-washy, flip-flopping centrism which doesn't exist, is a black hole on the political spectrum. It's because, it just means you can't make up your mind. Do something. But it's fine, because with all the flaws that this government has, and I've criticised this government a lot recently, they are doing some good things. You've got the Brexit stuff that's going well. The relationship with China is being reviewed. And we have a strong and stable Home Secretary. Priti Patel this morning was in charge of a massive operation. They arrested about just fewer than 800 people who were obviously breaking the law. There's a massive gang, and a lot of these people were also illegal migrants. So this is now being investigated. Priti Patel has changed the strategy and tactics, as we know, when it comes to the police in this country, because recently they've been extremely weak and feeble, and Priti has ordered them to actually just do their job properly instead of just being woke and dance around during Pride. It's because with everything that happened over the past few weeks with the BLM movement and everyone. They've been undermined their role because they haven't been doing their job properly. They didn't protect the statues the way they were supposed to. But I think Priti is now changing it. She's also indicated that after ending free movement from the European Union a couple of days ago, I think it was yesterday, she's also said that she is now going to change the arrangement we have with the French authorities when it comes to Dover. So we'll keep you guys posted on that issue. For now, thank you for watching. If you enjoy the content, subscribe to the channel. If you're already a subscriber, then make sure to become a member by checking the link in the description or just going on youtube.com/myitc/join. And don't forget to get your Defund the BBC t-shirts. By definition means cancelling your TV license and watching MyITC instead. Again, the link is in the description, various different colors and everything. This is going to go for the next, I think, just about a week left to go. So make sure to get your t-shirts as soon as possible. I'm MyITC. I'll see you guys in the next video.